Hello, hello, it's Mary with Stamps-N-Lingers, and it is, Jiminy Christmas, what time is it? It is 1 o'clock on Thursday, which means it is time for a YouTube video. No, this is Facebook. We're totally on Facebook, so it's time for a Facebook video. Let me just get everything going over here so that I can see when people are making comments. Hello, Angie, how are you? Hope you're having a good week, all ready for the weekend. My goodness, can you even believe it's almost Friday again? That's just craziness. It's crazy, I tell you. All right, so this is a card that I made for my friend's birthday, and so I was holding on to it until I knew she had it, and I know she has it now, so in case she happens to see this, she won't be surprised, or she will be surprised, or she was surprised but won't be, whatever. But then I realized that I had mailed it, and so I didn't have it. And I'd also very fastidiously tossed the sticky note with all the directions on it. So I recreated it this morning. Fortunately, it's pretty easy. It does use quite a few products, but you should not be scared by that. Okay, so here is the card. You can see a lot of elements. We've got the charming sentiments here for sentiment that we cut out with the sentiment silhouettes. We've got the Twigs and Sprigs embossing folder and die. I've got rugged icons, and then I've got some of the Rings of Love DSP. Now, public safety announcement, public service announcement, not really safety, but service. Rings of Love is back in stock, as is the Wonderful World stamp set and DSP bundle for the celebration items. Just take me to the bank on this one. If you haven't gotten those and you wanted them, go get your orders in now and get those on the way, because I almost can guarantee they're going to sell out again. All right. Heavily popular. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started here. We've got a couple of fun things to do. I've done some pre-cutting and dyeing and stuff like that, so we shouldn't have too much extra time. The first thing I did is I have a crumb cake card base, and I took a piece of cardstock that's the same size as the front of the card, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I embossed it in the Twigs and Sprigs die. Now this is an a la carte set. It comes with a die, and what I did is I just left this in there. I'll show you this in just a second, but I ran this through my stem with no die in place, just the embossing folder. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this card base and go ahead and adhere the embossed card front to, the front of the card. That's why we call it the card front. Otherwise, we'd call it the card not front. That's probably what I'd call it if I was, doing it. And I'm just going to line the top up a little bit shy of the fold. All right, and then make sure that the edges are lined up. And even though this is the exact size of the card, sometimes it'll stretch a little bit when you emboss it, right? So sometimes you'll find that it's a little bit bigger, but in this case it worked out. If it had been, I would have just put it in the trimmer, put my score line at 5 1/2 and given it a little trim, or put the edge at 4 1/4 and given the side that was out a little trim, but it doesn't need it in this case. So we are ready to go. Now, I've got a piece of the Rings of Love DSP. It's the cute one with the little blue bird of happiness on it. And I have a Night of Navy cardstock mat, which you can see I have used to cut out my circle that I'll be using later. I do not recommend doing that on the inside of your card, just because if people are writing on there, which people frequently do on the inside of cards, it will create an unpleasant little bump and make it difficult to have neat writing. And I don't know about you, but I don't need any help being not neat. That's just me. Hello, Penny. Hello, Faith. Hi, Barbara and Brooke and Marva. I appreciate you guys joining. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. Normally, I would not build on my card front, but I am on this one just because of the nature of the card. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this with liquid glue. Now, let me get out some die cuts here. I used a stitched rectangle die. Actually, I used 2 stitched rectangle dies. I've used the next to smallest and the one bigger than that, so these 2 together. I cut one piece from the, it looks like aspen trees, and then the other one, the smaller one, is actually the other side of my bird DSP. And I'm just going to go ahead and use a little more liquid glue to adhere those to the card front, like so. And easy and also peasy. I mean, it doesn't get a whole lot easier than die cutting and gluing. Just throwing that out there. Now, let me show you this die set and the embossing folder. You can do this two ways. It is designed for you to place your cardstock inside the folder and then place the die in the folder in place. And that is what I've done here to cut these pieces. You can see it rests just like that. And I can tell you some of the hybrid embossing folders and dies, they aren't quite as user-friendly as this one is. This one is very nice. The dies fit really nicely over the embossed designs, and it closed quite well. And then you run that through in the embossing folder, okay, or in the embossing sandwich. So number one plate, folder with the cardstock and the die, and then the gray specialty plate. And you get a perfect embossed image, and it's all die cut at once, okay? So I had a few of those die cut, but let's see. What you do then is just pick this up, and you got a whole bunch. My piece of cardstock was not as big as the folder, so a lot of them cut off, which is fine, because I can use any of these for this card, or I could use one of the ones that I already cut earlier. Actually, this is the one I want right here. I want this one. I want this one right here. And I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue. Hey, Donna. Hi, Marcia. Hey, Carol. Hi, Jenny. You should be asleep, girl. If it's after 3 a.m., you should just go to bed. Just saying. All right, I'm just going to adhere that with some liquid glue right there. Then I'm going to take two natural elements. These are the little wood guys that look like little berries. And I'm going to color one with my dark Mossy Meadow Stampin' Blend. This is not very technical coloring. I'm just saying it's swishing it on here. But I really like how it does. That wood absorbs just enough of the color and just unevenly enough that it gives it a little look of texture. Okay, there we go. Hello, Vicky. I'm sorry you're hurting, kid, but at least you've got YouTube or Facebook to look at, right? What did we do before? Oh, we read books, like in binding and stuff. I'm in the middle of a book right now by Nelson DeMille. Yeah, called Wildfire. It's kind of good. It's I think they would call it a political thriller. Might be a little too scary for me because it's hitting a little close to home these days. Okay, so I've got those two colored, and I am just going to use some liquid glue to adhere them to the card front. Now, these are thick, there is no doubt. This is going to take, yeah, I do too, Carol. This is going to take a little extra postage for sure because it's going to make a nice thick card, or it's really nice if you're hand delivering a gift of some sort. So I'm just going to put this little guy right here. And then I'll put the Mossy Meadow one next to him. I really like these natural elements, guys. They are so cool. They're so cute, like that. Okay, now I'm going to put a glue dot right here so that we can put like a little linen thread doohickey. I'm going to put that dot right there, and I'm going to take my linen thread. This is not a complicated thing right here. Oh dear, Jenny. Oof. Okay, so I'm gonna keep my fingers kind of spread like that because that drives how long the loops are, right? And I'm just gonna wrap twice around like so and find my scissors that I have managed to bury under here and give that a little snip. Okay, so then I'm going to take the two sides like so, and I'm going to twist it. Shoot fire. And it's going to go every which way because I'm on camera. I'm going to twist it like that into a figure 8 and kind of make it as even as you can. Like that. Yeah, even as you can. Like that. There we go. Untwist it a little bit. There, that's better right there. Okay, and then I'm sticking that right on that glue dot, just like that. Okay, So this is not a double loop linen thread bow. It's just a figure 8. And that is going to be ready to place my rugged icon circle over the top. So we'll just set that aside. Now, speaking of which, remember I cut out a layering circle die with a layering circle, one of them, this one actually. It's actually this one right here. And you can just figure that out by looking at how big the rugged icon is next to it. Now remember, rugged icons is another a la carte, and it has several very cute little standalone dies. You've got a fishing rod, you've got a drill. This is not a, well, I guess it could be. I know what this is. This is a beard. Okay, this is a beard and a mustache. So in case you want to put a beard and a mustache on a card, you're ready to go. And you've also got a guitar. And then you have this wonderful mountainy scene. Now, I put a piece of adhesive sheet onto a crumb cake panel. You should be proud of me because I actually thought ahead to get the adhesive sheet in there. Usually I forget until right after I have die cut it, and then I'm like, oh, darn it. Now I have to use liquid glue, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with liquid glue. I like it. I use it all the time. And since I usually forget to use the adhesive sheets, it's more often than not. Yeah. So I'm just going to push these big ones out. Now, the only thing I will tell you about using the adhesive sheets is you want to run through a couple, 3 times, especially with these detailed dies like this. And these don't, you're like, Mary, those are not detailed at all. But wait until you see these little pieces right here. So what you hope for at this point when you're doing this is patience, 1. And 2, you hope that when you pull the backing off, that the backing pulls those little chads. If not, you get to play with it for a second. So you have to decide if this playing with it that I'm fixing to have to do is going to be worth it to you, or whether you'd prefer to use liquid glue. You can do either one. Okay, everybody hold your breath. Here we go. Let's see if the chads come off. The chads are not coming off. Some of the chads are coming off. Okay, so now this is the part that gets, a little persnickety. Just take a pokey tool and push out those chads. The trick about these chads is they're sticky. So you're going to have chads on you. When you take a shower in the evening, you're going to be like, what is that thing? Is that a bug? Is it a tick? No. No, it's a sticky chad from my rugged icon die that I did earlier today. That's what you're going to find. I promise. I promise. They are stickier than dimensional covers, and they are just as recalcitrant. But it's okay because they stick wonderfully. This little die is going to stick wonderfully down the die cut when I get it unchadified. Don't want any hanging chads. All right, but you can see they're all over me. They're like little limpets. Like little limpets everywhere on me. All right. Come on now. See, the thing is, if you don't get them, when you stick it down, they stick right out where you can see them. It's just the weirdest thing. It's like the perversity of an inanimate object. But the joy of it is, once you get that done, you don't have any glue sticking out anywhere, and you can just lay it right down. And actually, this adhesive is pretty forgiving. It'll let you move things around a little bit, maybe more than you want or would expect. But once you get it in place, you saw I had room to kind of move it around a little bit, or time. You can just turn it over and give it a rub like that. See those little guys wanting to be on there? And there you have your die. Now, I did not do any piecing. You could absolutely cut this image again with another color or two and insert them in there like I did with the first card that I did with this a few weeks back. Or, I don't know. Martha, that is really an excellent question. But I think it's a mustache and a beard, like a lumberjack mustache and beard. That's what I think. But I could be wrong. That's what I think it is. Okay, so now what's going to happen is we are going to adhere this over the top of our loop-de-dood linen thread with some Stampin' Dimensionales. Yeah, Donna, I forget all the time. All the time. I guess it's probably just because I'm so accustomed to using the liquid glue that it just is kind of out of my cross check. All right, I'm putting my dimensionals right on the card front because that lets me wind them in and around the wooden elements, the textural elements, and the linen thread bow. And what I'm going to do is I'll get these stuck down, and then if I need to stick another one because I don't have them out as far as I need, then that won't be a problem. I can just slide it under there real easy. All right, let's see if we can get it sort of straight so that the mountains aren't tilting. Okay, there we go. And we'll cut this off. That one is just being a little recalcitrant right there. Okay, so I did want to stick another one right under there, like that. So I take off its little cover and just slide it under the die cut like that to support it. Easy and peasy. All right, I stamped the Charming Sentiments sentiment in Night of Navy on a piece of basic white, and then I cut it with the matching die. Remember, Sentiment Silhouettes is awesome. It's actually, it takes 2 magnets. It's got a whole bunch of things, and all of these cut out the individual sentiments in the set, and it's amazing because it's like the best fussy cutter on the planet. Cut out your sentiment. And I'm just going to adhere it across there. I'm going to use double stack dimensionals on this side. Make sure I get them on the correct side and don't have to move them. A couple of double stack dimensionals. Like that. And then we'll just use some liquid glue on the other side. Oop. Make sure that's not showing. Showing a little bit. I'm going to snip that off. I got a little carried away. There you go. It's a lawn chair. It could be. I think it's what you see. Dies that are open to interpretation. You gotta love it. Okay. So we'll take that little lid off, put a little bit of liquid glue on this end, like so, and then try to get it sort of straight. You know, straight is highly overrated, but every once in a while you ought to try for it. There we go. All right. Like so. You see, everything's sticking to me. Everything is sticking to me. And then I'm just going to add some of my brushed metallic adhesive back dots. Remember, these are not in the catalogs right now, but they are absolutely still available. So you can just search brushed metallic and you'll get them. And let me get rid of this. This is really bugging me. Get over here. Get away from me. Okay. A couple, 3 of these. And we'll be done with the card front. Like that. I love these little guys. I'm so glad they're still around. Like that. There we go. And there is our card front, just like boom chakalaka. So on the inside, I'm going to stamp another sentiment from Charming Sentiments in Night of Navy. Good night, Jenny. Hope you feel better. Sleep good, girl. On a piece of basic white. And you know what I did? I went with the same size of inner liner as I have on the card front. If you want to make it bigger, you can do that. Just keep the proportions the same. Okay, so in this case, I took 3/4 of an inch off of the length and width of the cards. So if you wanted to make it bigger, just take a 1/2 inch off, or even 3/8 of an inch off. Okay, so there you go. And actually, I think I just told you the wrong thing. I think I took, did I say 3/4 of an inch? Yeah, 3/4 of an inch for the mat. Ooh, good thing that was navy blue, huh? Okay. Mary, Mary, Mary. Okay, let's try this again. Everybody, y'all settle down. You're making me nervous. Okay, here we go. And then we're going to stamp this, hopefully straight, like so. All right. And then I'm going to take, and I'm going to move my Night of Navy, because on this little last part, I recommend that you do your, oh lordy, I went out there and I made my chamois wet, and then I left it out there. So hang on a second. I want to wipe that off. I've got a mess. I just need a paper towel. Okay, there we go. I'm going to be stamping in Crushed Curry and Night of Navy. You can do either order that you like. I recommend going with Crushed Curry first if you can, because I'll show you here in just a second. I'm just going to stamp this. This is one of the flowers from Ringed with Nature. And why don't I do something smart? And find my other envelope. Where is my other envelope? Does anyone know where my other envelope is? I do not know. It is here somewhere. I know that because... Oh, here it is. It's right in front of me. There we go. We'll go ahead and stamp this while I have the Crushed Curry out. What I was going to tell you is if you do this and you do the Night of Navy first, when you stamp these Crushed Curry flowers over the top and touch the Night of Navy, you want to be careful because the wet stamp will pick up the Night of Navy ink and you will have a bit of a mess on your hands, Bob. Just saying. All right, so we'll go ahead and wipe that off. I really got quite messy with that, didn't I? Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. Now I'm going to use another little one. This is just another little leaf set because this is going to be a navy blue leaf, which makes perfect sense to me in the big scheme of things. The Night of Navy may be picking up some of the yellow. So, you know, if you think it might be, go ahead and stamp it on your stamp set or on your scrap paper so that you can make sure you don't get a green in there that you really didn't mean to have. So I just did them kind of like they're all coming out of the same spot. And I'll do that as well on the inner liner. I love these little leaves from Ringed with Nature. They're so pretty. And I like that they're photopolymer, so it makes it a lot easier to line everything up and put it where I want it. Put it where I want it. It's important that you sing your instructions. I read that on a social media site. They said the people who go viral with their Facebook and YouTube videos are the ones that sing their instructions. And I was like, man, I am in. I am right there with you. All right. So there's our inside. And I will pull out our card front, our card base, which has the front already done, because that's how we built it. Could you build it separately and then put it on later? Absolutely, you could. Absolutely, but I actually think this particular design is easier to build in place. So site built versus modular, how about that? And then we're going to put this in the middle like so, just kind of making sure it's straight. Here's another thing you could do with this card if you wanted to. If you left these dimensions the same, you could actually emboss another crumb cake panel and put it in so that this would have some embossing as well. Up to you entirely. I didn't think it needed it, so I didn't do it. So there's the inside. We'll put a little more of the Aspen. Thank you, guys. The Aspen DSP on here. Oh, one thing I was going to tell you is, just in case you hadn't figured it out, this bird one is distinctly up or down. Make sure you put it on up. And the same is true actually with you could go like this and they would still probably be okay, but to me, they look like they're going down wrong. So it's more like this. All right. That's just me. You could put them that way. I have seen trees with all of their boughs pointing at the ground, but usually they're bigger than this and they're covered with snow. So that's just me. You do you, man. It's a card. It's your card. You can do what you want. All right. So we're going to put that on there. Give it a quick fussy cut. All right. What did I say? Ringed with Rings of Love, DSP, and Wonderful World. They're back. I don't know for how long. I don't know how many we had. If you want them, get them. Get them. Get them. Alrighty then. There you go. Have fun. Don't forget the new celebration items are out and in play. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. And I hope you will join me on Saturday for my YouTube video at 7 p.m. Eastern. All right. Thanks, guys. Ta.